open if it airlifts everybody on Fairtree?
The teleplex drive cable must be sheared away.
Fire the explosive bolt!
The teleplex drive cable must be sheared away.
Fire the explosive bolt!
The teleplex drive cable must be sheared away.
Fire the explosive bolt!
All right, this is One Eye Jacks, transmitting from my secret submarine lair, and it's located 2,000 miles south of Little America. And I had to run fiber optic cables there to get the signal out. But anyway, let's begin with this video. And this video is going to be some of this we've covered, and a lot of it we haven't. So it's the ones category. And it's the reason I'm going over this again is because it's the one, the lonely, the lone, Byrd's book Alone, a lone ranger, monolith, unisphere. And then it even translated into Stephen King, where you have Han Solo. Solo is one. So let's begin here. Before we begin that, I wanted to cover this. It was a good day. It was a really good day. A friend of mine or a friend of mine saw this posted on a social media site, and it's a running path. And on the running path, somebody wrote, "Flat Earth is real," in chalk. So this person took a picture of it and they posted it on their social media site. And immediately, the first thing is, oh, it's fake news. And then proof that people will believe anything. So the bandwagon is the shared collective of sheeple they're rallying right here. There's like fake news, proof people will believe anything. And then this guy, it shows you how programmed these people are. I mean, this guy goes, it doesn't even really make sense, but it says, comment on those who refute climate change. Oh my God, climate change has been busted 50 different ways till Tuesday. I mean, the data has been fudged. And even if the data wasn't fudged, they're spraying millions of tons of aerosol particles of heavy metals and aluminum and barium and strontium in the atmosphere. So who really even knows what the natural weather is anymore? We haven't had natural weather in 25 years. So then the next guy goes, then the next person says, call me crazy, but I believe it. So here you have, you got a thinker here. This person's got their brain is working. The fluoride has not taken effect. And so then somebody says, what? It's not flat? This is a joke. They're trying to diffuse it with humor. And then it goes into, must be a joke. Of course it is. There are a few flat Earths like this along the path. Very creative community. So then this guy goes, remember, don't forget the fake moon landings. And so sad that evidently people in 2017 believe this. Ouch. These people are so ignorant and so programmed. They're responding with the fake moon landings, climate change, and oh, that's so dumb, people. But the takeaway from this, though, is not that. The takeaway from this is the first, where we have somebody that had the balls enough to say, you know what, call me crazy, but I believe it. So this is a huge step right here. if people can take this step, and it's not easy to do, you can be the closet flat earther out there, but it's time to come out of the closet because the information's out there. So here we have a social media site, real time, real world example, and we got somebody, who's telling it like it is. So, like I said, it was a really good day, and so I knew some of the people involved in this. So if enough people did that, the people that just, only a very small group of the population actually thinks, and that small minority can control 80% of the population because the other 80%, they go whatever way the wind blows. They're like sheep, if you go bah, they go bah, you know. So it's encouraging to see that happen. And this is another one I wanted to do real quick. Let me pause this, get this set up.
My thoughts drift back to erect nipple wet dreams about Mary Jane Rottenreich and the great homecoming.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was still running. Anyway, let's take a look at Capricorn 1. So it's directed by Peter Hyams. So let's look at Peter Hyams. Turns out Peter Hyams is born the day Stanley Kubrick is, July 26th. So on July 26, 1971, Diane Arbus slits her wrists in her bathtub. On the exact same day, the Apollo 15 Saturn V rocket lifts off, and it's Stanley Kubrick's birthday. It's Carl Jung's birthday. It's Aldous Huxley's birthday. It's Mick Jagger's birthday. And it's Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father's birthday. Those are the Jungian greats in this category. So Peter Hyams is a one-eyed Jack director. He's got the Peter, Johnson, Mineshaft, Dick name, and he's born July 26th. So the actual director that directs it fits in the puzzle perfectly. And so let's go into cast and crew and check this out. So Elliot Gould plays Robert Caulfield. Okay, let's minimize this a little bit. And we go to Catcher in the Rye, and Holden Caulfield is the fictional character in J.D. Salinger's 1951 novel Catcher in the Rye, published July 16th, 1951, which is the date. July 16th is the date of the Apollo 11 moon launch. It's the date of Trinity, the first atomic explosion, and a bunch. JFK Jr. dies on that day. It's a different date, but so we have Holden Caulfield in Catcher in the Rye, and we have Robert Caulfield, Elliot Gould. So this movie is alchemical, and it fits right in with their puzzle. And we know why. We know why this is we're being clued into this. This is exactly how this was done. They faked it, and the guys that didn't play around and didn't like to play the game, they got burned up in a capsule. So in this movie, they escape, and he makes it all the way to his funeral. And another thing, just a tertiary thing I noticed in this movie, whenever you see these Bell helicopters here, they're always flying mirrored. Like if you see them flying, they'll turn toward each other like a mirror, like a book match. So they're using the movements of the helicopter. They're mirroring the movements of the helicopter. So it's a mirroring clue that you want to look at the helicopter. They're Bell helicopters. So it's Capricorn 1. This is the first. This video is all about firsts. Let's go here. So let's do this. All right, here we go. This is the Apollo 1 crew. So this is Gus Grissom, this is Ed White, and this is Roger Chaffee. This is the Apollo 1 capsule they're in here. This is the capsule that Gus Grissom hung the lemon on. So in our puzzle, we have the lemon and the apple and the orange and the clementine and the plum and the watermelon and the melon, and it goes on and on. So we have all these various fruits. And so this is where we get our lemon from, is Gus Grissom. Gus Grissom is also the man that has the Molly Brown capsule, where he almost dies. He almost drowns in his capsule. So the next capsule they named the Molly Brown. So he has a direct association with Titanic and Molly Brown, the woman that survives the Titanic sinking. So the allegory here is, these men have no chance. This is sabotaged beforehand, just like the Titanic ship itself. It's pre-sabotaged, but it has a bent keel, it has a raging fire in the coal storage area, and it's sent out on its maiden voyage. So this is the allegory here. So this is Apollo 1. It's going out. This is the first Apollo mission. And here it is, the capsule. They even, they're not even using the numeral on this one. They're spelling it out O-N-E, because the reason Kubrick's doing this is one of the main ropes that runs right through the whole puzzle. It's the main fiber that holds the whole puzzle together. And we're always using the first man on the moon, and it goes on and on and on. It's always the first. So here's Apollo 1, and here's the crew. And they are very flippant. They do like a photo shoot, and hold on one second, I'll find it. So they take pictures like this where they're all praying, like they're gonna die. And so in the puzzle earlier, we talked about how Kennedy got the covered wagon funeral. Well, when these three men are burned to death in a pure oxygen environment, which is ridiculous, essentially what they did is they needed to test the capsule at 5 psi over ambient. So the capsule was sitting on the launch pad at 14.7 psi at sea level, and the only way they could get the 5 psi they wanted was to pressurize the inside of this capsule to 20 psi pure oxygen. So anyone who knows anything about pure oxygen, if you've ever worked in a hospital or you know somebody who's on oxygen, it is a very deadly gas. If a fire starts, there's essentially no way to put it out until you stop the oxygen from leaking. So they put these three men inside their capsule, and then they pressurized their capsule 5 psi over the external pressure, which was 14.7 psi. So basically you had almost 20 psi of pure oxygen inside this capsule. The door opens inward, so once it's pressurized, you can't open the door. So, and then there's an outer door on the outside of the craft as well. This is the bizarre capsule out of all the capsules they have that has this odd door that opens in and seals under pressure. So they load them in this capsule. As soon as the fire starts, the pressure inside this capsule goes up extremely fast and seals the door so they can't get out. So when they all are burned to death, they get covered wagon funerals, just like JFK. So they get this is the Grissom's funeral, Gus Grissom, this guy right here. So Gus Grissom gets the covered wagon. So they all get the 21 gun salute and the covered wagons. And they all die on January 27th. So the January 27th date is one of the first clues we get to Lewis Carroll. He's born January 27th, 1832. So we have Lewis Carroll, January 27th. This gives us the bunny allegory, follow the white rabbit down the bunny hole. Allison through the looking glass, Jabberwocky, mirroring, doubling, halving, palindromes. So let's close this. And then we also find out, that Captain John Smith, Edward John Smith, is born January 27th, 1850. So he shares a date with Lewis Carroll as well. So they all die on January 27th. This is the Lewis Carroll. This is Kubrick giving you Lewis Carroll, mirroring, doubling, palindromes, and the allegory used in his books. So there's Gus. There the three men are. Here's their mission patch, the Apollo 1. They all burn up. Here they are. They didn't make it. They're the fallen astronauts. Okay, so let's put this up here. These are the fallen guys. They were going to go to the moon, but they didn't make it. They burned up. So again, I said this entire puzzle this is the Apollo 1 crew. We're doing ones right now. Apollo 1 crew. And on Apollo 15, the mission that launches on the day Diane Arbus dies in her bathtub, she slits her wrist, just like the old lady in Stephen King's book. They put the Kubrick on the moon, the first piece of art on the moon. Once again, it's the first piece of art on the moon. First, last, and only piece of art on the moon. And it's missing its arms, and it's done in a cubist style. Everything's been squared off, like a Lego piece almost. So this is what's called a Kubrick, and I think it's made out of aluminum, and it's missing its arms, of course. It's missing both its arms. So when we go into 2001: A Space Odyssey, and we see Dr. Kimball, and we draw an association to Harrison Ford and the movie The Fugitive. In the movie The Fugitive, he's looking for the one-armed man. So we got two arms missing here. In The Fugitive, he's looking for a missing arm. So, we're always looking for what's missing. And in this instance, it's both his arms. So, it fits right into Kubrick's puzzle. There's Roger Chaffee. It's January 27th, Lewis Carroll's birthday. And they don't make it. They're fallen. Let's go to... Oh, here's the door that's redesigned after the fire. They make the door so it opens outward, which is... did it really require engineers to figure that out? If you have a capsule that has pressure on the inside and you want to get out of it, you're going to have to make sure there's a way out to emergency blow the door, and they never had that. So they redesigned the door after Apollo 1. And so this is and of course there were two doors on this capsule, so it's a double doors of perception clue again. So we have this falling astronaut. So we have Frank Poole. Frank Poole gets hit like a baseball bat by Hal in the pod, and he spins around. He looks like he's falling, so he's the fallen astronaut there. He doesn't make it. Apollo 1 capsule. Covered wagon funerals. So here's another Apollo 1 covered wagon funeral. This is a detail I missed before. We're always making... we're looking for colors. So it's the white star lines. This is the Titanic and the Olympic was white star line. And it's full of stars. So we have the white star line. And so this is the whole J.P. Morgan sinking of the Titanic scam. The insurance job. This one's great. I love this one. The astronauts, when they're on the moon, they do the jump salute. So it's one small step, the NASA crawler, Tom Cruise, one giant leap, Moonwalker, Skywalker, Johnny Walker, Blade Runner. It's always a mode of you're jumping, you're leaping, you're hopping, you're running, So what do they do when they get on the moon? They do the jump salute, which this jump salute mirrors little John Jr. after his dad gets murdered as he's driving by in the covered wagon and his riderless horse. John salutes his father, so this is the jump salute. Just like in the movie you have the final shot picture. It's always referred to as the final shot with Jack Nicholson, the July 4th final shot picture. So you have the moon shots and the moonshine and the Michael Collins and the white lightning and, we're distilling the moonshine, and it's the final shot. So this is the jump salute. Here we have Carl Malden, and this is the movie One Eye Jacks, and this is just a shot from out of them when they were making the movie. And so we have Brando and Carl Malden, and Carl Malden's giving him the bunny ears because he's a one-eyed Jack, and you know, so it's a one-eyed jackrabbit. Clue. And we're still on first. This is the first ever video of telephone. Corona Flushing Queens at the World's Fair. All right, let's go through the rest of these quickly. This is the first Captain Kirk in the first episode ever filmed. Same thing, first time Captain Kirk. First Moonwalker, Neil. First movie she's ever in, Halloween. First Day at the Overlook, Queen of Screams. She plays Laurie Strode, which is a direct association with Woody Strode. So you have stride, strode, walk, run, jump, hop. You have Karen Black is in the movie. So we have the color. We have a hopper. We have the first successful commercially produced vehicle ever in Antarctica, and it's the Red Terror 1. It's always 1. First Moonwalker. First Bell video phone. The 20 minutes of the movie that's cut out, missing the snakes and ladders game. And also another thing to note in this scene, Barry Nelson wears a jacket with a fur collar, just like, John Malkovich and Admiral Byrd. Kubrick's first, last, and only speech, the Icarus speech. The first time machine movie ever, based on H.G. Wells' book. Sigourney Weaver, a redhead, her first movie. The first birthday of our country, July 4th. Also, the first, last, and only day Lou Gehrig gives his luckiest man in the world speech. The first man to get Lou Gehrig's disease. He's a first baseman. He's voted the best first baseman ever in baseball. And the first James Bond ever. Garrett Brown invents the first ever Steadicam. Danny rides in the Steadicam. We follow the Steadicam between movies. It's considered a vehicle by Kubrick. So in Halloween, they use the Panaglide Steadicam. So they use the Steadicam part down here from Garrett Brown, and they use the Panaglide camera. When he goes into The Shining, he's now running the whole deal. He has his own camera that he set it up with and everything. So one of the first movies, if not the first movie ever to use this system, was Halloween. But I believe there were, it's very difficult to nail down because, like I said, by the time he got to The Shining, it was all his rig. But when he was when he did it for Halloween, when they were using the Steadicam rig, but they were using a different camera setup. So it's like a half Steadicam, half something else. Here he is. He creates the first one, the founder, and it leaves no tracks. So this is one of our clues to no tracks, just like the rovers left no tracks. It's TMA 1. It's always 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is Woody Strode, the first black professional football player, signed at 42. This is the first vehicle ever sent to explore Antarctica. First wheeled vehicle, anyway. And specialty built. This is one of one. And it's not just a vehicle, it's the cruiser. It's Admiral Byrd's Antarctic Cruiser was the name of this thing. And of course, it's an abject failure. It gets stuck and sinks through the ice, and it's never seen again. Let's see what else we have here. So here's Admiral Byrd. He's a member of Federal Lodge number one in Washington, D.C. And he works for the Rockefellers. So there's a Rockefeller Mountain in Antarctica. He funds all his expeditions. And he establishes the first Antarctic Masonic Lodge, Lodge number 777. So there's our 21. We Blackjack the horse, and Kennedy is the Jack of Spades, and Scatman is the Ace of Spades, who dies on November 22nd, 1986. So the Masons are so plugged into this fakery. It's ridiculous. And they interview Buzz Aldrin. They're like, "Hey Buzz, what do the Masons have to do with the moon missions?" And Buzz is like, "Oh, well, I wasn't aware they had anything to do with the moon missions." So somehow I think the alcohol has numbed his brain, and he forgot that he brought the Masonic flag and left it on the moon for the Masons. Somehow he neglects to remember that, and the fact that almost all the astronauts themselves are Masons, and it's just ridiculous. So to think there's not something funny going on in Antarctica, you got to be half brain dead, because you've got these. This is a very high level Masonic operation, and they're sending warships down, and they're sending submarines down, and aircraft carrier. This was a military act. This wasn't let's go see if the penguins, like hot dogs. No, this was let's go down on Antarctica and flex our muscle. So they whip on down to Antarctica. They send the Byrd down, and they, right after that they return with their tails between their legs. So what did they find down there? I don't know, but this man clearly knew. He was the lone nut. Alone. One. Here's Lee Harvey Oswald. He was a very good banjo player, and I'm joking. This is the first Star Trek episode that airs, starring Gary Lockwood, the first guest star that dies. And he co-stars with the woman that ends up in the movie MASH, Hot Lips Houlihan. I can't think of her name right now. So they're both alchemical. It's Raoul Amundsen, the first man to the South Pole and the first man to fly over the North Pole in his Norg airship. This is a one-off, one-of-one, handmade vehicle. Here's Admiral Byrd alone, sort of like Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone nut, or like the Lone Ranger, or the Beatles' Lonely Hearts Club Band, or the Lone Ranger Theater, or the Lone Ranger theme, or the Lone Ranger and his horse Silver, or the Monolith, Mono is one, or the Unisphere, Uni is one, or you could even jump into Star Wars and go into Han Solo, Solo is one. So this puzzle is one of the main fiber of the puzzle is the first. It's always the first. This is the first Antarctic crossing, the first, last, and only video conference call to the moon, the Bell video conference. It's always Bell. Bell is being repeated. The Bell video conference is the first we ever saw at the World's Fair in 1964. The first ever James Bond is Barry Nelson. This one's good. So we have the NASA crawler. We have Small Step. We have Camera Walk. We have Johnny Walker. We have Moonwalker, Spacewalker, Skywalker. We have the Imperial Walker, which is essentially a mechanized horse. These are more clues to the Trojan horse we're building. And then we have Woody Strode and Jackie Robinson, the long jumper and the high jumper. So in this puzzle, we have two jumpers, two professional jumpers, Woody Strode and Jackie Robinson. Neither of them is a white person. So when he does his movie, he names his movie White Man Can't Jump. It's a joke, because the puzzle has no white jumpers in it, really. And we have Woody, like Woody Strode and Woody Harrelson and Woody from Toy Story and Woody Wilson, the president and the golf manufacturer. And so the rumor is Woody Harrelson's father was one of the guys involved in Kennedy's murder. He was like one of the bench warmers. But we'll never know because he's in jail. And of course his last name is Harrelson. So you have Dorian Harewood and you have Woody Harrelson. A hare is a rabbit. So if we're trying to jump from a Kubrick movie into some other movie, we're going to need a hare, and you're going to need a rabbit. So there's your Woody Harrelson. And of course, his first name is slang for a penis. So you have Woody Strode can be, oh, I had a Woody, or James Woods, he had a Woods, class of golf clubs, or you can have, any number of the. You have Mineshaft and Dick Nixon and Lyndon Johnson. They're all slang names for your penis, or Peter Sellers or Peter Hyams. They're using a large category of slang names for your dick, your Johnson, your Mineshaft, your Peters projection. So White Man Can't Jump. This is really so. When Vivian Kubrick is interviewed, and she's talking about, oh, I asked my dad if I would like the Spike Lee movie White Man Can't Jump, and he said, oh, you'll love it, you'll love it. So she mentions that in an interview, and well, we know why. That's using the exact same language. And you have Wesley Snipes. A snipe is a bird. So the acronym sniper comes from the fact that the snipe bird is very difficult to shoot. It's a very fast bird. So the word sniper comes from the fact that if you could shoot a snipe and kill a snipe, you were a sniper, and you were a very good marksman. So his last name is Wesley Snipes. So a sniper snipes. And the IRS really went after Wesley Snipes. And he does the whole series of movies, Blade. And I've seen a bunch of these, and I haven't I'm still learning this language, but I haven't watched them in like the last 5 years, so I haven't really looked at them alchemically. But I'm wondering now if the movie series Blade is loaded with stuff as well, because it fits. It's Wesley Snipes. He's the Daywalker. I don't know how many black vampire slayer movies there are, but there's got to be a pretty limited category. So he's a black vampire slayer. And of course, he has his blade, like Jack has the Collins axe, and Wendy's has the bread knife, and we have various blade allegories. The jackknifed truck, and he chopped his family up. You have the Bell Ranger chopper. You have the Captain America chopper. And Barry Nelson says, oh, he chopped his family up into little pieces and stacked them neatly in the West Wing. The West Wing is the West Wing of the White House. And the White House is in Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. So this movie is alchemical, and it's overtly, and of course it has we're missing one of the missing ball, not even a missing ball, we already have it already, was the basketball. And in the movie, he calls him Opie Taylor. Well, Opie Taylor is Ron Howard from the Andy Griffith Show. So Ron Howard is Willow. Ron Howard directs Apollo 15, or Apollo 13. And we have Kevin Major Howard. And there's a whole category of Howards already. So this movie is very alchemical. It ties right into this puzzle language. So the reason Stanley Kubrick tells his daughter that she'd love it is because it's using the same language. So here's Jackie Robinson, the first black professional baseball player. He's our long jumper, UCLA teammate with Woody Strode. Here's the first Queen of the Artichoke, Marilyn Monroe. Here's the last man to the South Pole. So Raoul Amundsen is the first man to the South Pole, born July 16th, the day we land on the moon, the day of the Trinity explosion, the day John dies. And this man misses the record by 33 hours. So do the math on that one. Hit number 42, Jackie Robinson, the UCLA long jumper. First black rookie of the year. First black professional baseball player, signed at 42. Wins rookie of the year at 42. Jackie Robinson Day is a holiday, so this is a holiday clue as well. It's April 15th, the day the Titanic sank, the day Lincoln dies. The day the Donners depart Lincoln. So here's Ronald Amundsen, the first man to the South Pole. Woody Strode, the first black professional football player, later becomes king of Hawaii after he marries the queen, which is abolished. And he carries Neptune's trident in Spartacus. Here's Marilyn Monroe. So she's already the first Queen of the Artichoke. Well, she's also the first Playboy bunny. So this is one of when we get the 7-year itch, blue ball crabs and the 7-year itch in Full Metal Jacket. Lee Ermey says blue ball crab and 7-year itch. Well, 7-year itch is her movie, so we're immediately pointed to Marilyn Monroe, and of course she's the first Playboy playmate ever, Playboy bunny ever. She starts the magazine. It's the Aries 1B. It's Discovery 1. It's the name of Robert Falcon's ship. Yeah, and here she's Starlight named Queen of the Artichoke. She's the first Queen of the Artichoke, not just Queen of the Artichoke. Here's the Kitty Hawk CSM, the first in flight. This is the clue that we're looking for the first day these planes flew. So what is the first day the B-52 flew? April 15th. So April 15th is Jackie Robinson Day. April 15th is the day Lincoln died. April 15th is IRS tax day. And April 15th is the day the Donners departed Lincoln. April 15th is Hermione's birthday. April 15th is Tom Wilson's birthday from Back to the Future. Biff. Here's the first Star Trek ever filmed. Airs mid-season 11 and 12. Here we see the Steadicam jumping into Rocky. Here we have Scatman's bedroom, and on one wall we have this woman here, Gloria Hendry, and on the other wall we have Azizi Johari. So Azizi Johari is born on the 236th day of the year, and the movie The Shining was filmed in 1980. 1980 was a leap year. So in 1980, Azizi Johari was born on the 237th day of the year. So when we find Neil Armstrong, born on August 25th, the 237th day of the year, we already know that we're looking for a year that's non-leap year, because we've already been given an example of Azizi Johari. She's born on the 236th day of the year, non-leap year. But The Shining is filmed in 1980, or The Shining is released in 1980, which is a leap year. So when we find here, we know to look for the extra day. So we add one day to 236, 237. So in the movie, there's also another clue to this, which really slams us down. When we first glimpse room 237 and Danny's going to go in it, we notice that the room right across the hallway, which is room 236, which does not have the double doors of perception, it has the single door. But we notice for a glimpse that room 236's door opens up for a split second before Danny goes into room 237. So it's a clue that we're talking about leap year days, or leap year numbers. And during a leap year, it's going to be room 237 for Azizi Johari. During a non-leap year, it would be room 236, the room that's partially open, when we see Danny go into the room. So it's a 236, 237 clue. And this is directly correlates to Neil Armstrong, born the 217th day of the year, which happens to be Vivian Kubrick's birthday. And there's a bunch of other birthdays involved in that same date. And then he dies the 237th day. So you have room 217, room 237. You have 2 missions, 3 men per mission, 7 missions. 2 times 3 times 7 is 42 total moon astronauts. 2 teams of 21 blackjack. So then Gloria Hendry, she is another bunny. And of course, Azizi Johari is a Playboy bunny as well. So, once again, I said this, it's not just that she's a Playboy bunny. She has a date puzzle. So we go to Gloria Hendry. She becomes the first black on white love interest for James Bond. So this was like a big deal. It's like, oh my God, James Bond's gonna, kiss a black woman. It's just ridiculous now. But, this shows you how slowly we're evolving, But so here she is in the movie. So we have Barry Nelson is the first James Bond. And we have our bunny hopper right here. She's a black Playboy bunny. and she jumps into the James Bond movie. So this is how we connect our movies together, through the jumps or the leaps. In this case, it's a bunny hop. So how do we know when we see this room? If we know this language and we know this puzzle, when you see this room, you should immediately know that both these women are alchemical and both are involved in the puzzle. And the way you'll know that is they're mirrored. You know, she's on one side, the girl's on the other. They got two lamps. You got two Maggie's books here and two Maggie's books here. The other side of the room, there's two more lamps. I mean, the whole room is mirrored. It's like a four-way mirror in this room. Everything's mirrored. So anything that's mirrored, doubled, flipped, halved, or palindromed, we need to look at. So immediately they tells you they're mirrored and they're flipped and they're Playboy bunnies. And of course, this is another hairball clue. Here's the Challenger ship. So they name it the Challenger shuttle, and you have the Challenger capsule. And the HMS Challenger is another famous sailing ship. Just like the Discovery and just like the Mount Olympus from Byrd. This is what I mentioned in the previous video about David Lynch uses the fire walk with me. So we're leaping, we're hopping, we're jumping, we're moonwalking, we're Laurie Stroding, we're Woody Stroding, we're camera walking. And of course, in the puzzle, one of the main threads as well is always the fire theme. The Apollo 1 fire, the Overlook burns down. Danny wants to play with his fire track. Jack smashed the door with a Collins brand fire axe with the eagle beak made by the Collins family. So we jump into Twin Peaks with Cheryl Lee. She's born the same day Kubrick is. It's Earth Day. It's a holiday. It's the first day of the 1964 World's Fair. It's Oppenheimer's birthday, and yada yada yada. So it's Nixon's death day. Once again, we're back to ones again. This is the Red Terror. This is the first successful vehicle in Antarctica, and it's a VW Beetle, and it's Red Terror 1. Here's the first movie Bridget Fonda is in, Easy Rider. So she's alchemical. Just so it's father and daughter. So you have Peter Fonda, or you have Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda, and then you have father Peter Fonda, daughter Bridget Fonda. So this is four of a kind. We have four Fondas here. So we have a potential here to make four of a kind. This is the Ares 1B shuttle. Here's Byrd's ship, the Mount Olympus. You know, this is where the Titans live, on Mount Olympus. This is the Mount Olympus Drive that's located in Laurel Canyon, and then the Jupiter Drive located in Laurel Canyon, and the Apollo Drive located in Laurel Canyon. So the Laurel itself is one of Apollo's attributes. So it makes sense there would be a Laurel, there would be an Apollo Drive as well. You know, here's our helmet clue in Easy Rider. He's wearing a football helmet. And we have the chopper, the Captain America chopper. So we have the Apollo America CSM. We have the Captain America chopper, which is a motorcycle with two wheels, made for two. And we have the he's Captain America riding the Captain America bike, which is also a superhero. Kubrick does a couple interesting things. He talks in the movie The Shining. He says, "Oh, Wendy, just like you. As soon as I get something good going, you're gonna fuck it up." And he says, "What do you want me to do? Go back to Boulder and work at a car wash, shoveling out driveways?" Well, shoveling out driveways is a part-time job. It's moonlighting. Working at a car wash is a part-time job. It's moonlighting. Shoveling out driveways is a snow job, snow removal job, snow job. So he's giving you a clue of moonlighting and doing side work to make ends meet. So Kubrick does the lighting on the James Bond movie. Let me get a picture for you. So here we go. Here's a picture of the Bond movie. So Kubrick does the lighting for the secret submarine base. So he's moonlighting when he does this. He's shoveling out driveways. He's working in a car wash. So Kubrick does the lighting in this, but he also mentions the fact that he does the lighting in this as well in interviews. Oh, I did it. It was just so he doesn't really get any credit for this. Once again, that's like a Margaret Keane painting. But so he's giving us a pointer to secret submarine bases. So we don't really have to be too much of a conspiracy theorist to when we hear stories of New Schwabenland and we see photographs of a fleet of submarines the Germans had with special cargo carrying submarines. So they weren't specifically built for war. They were built to carry cargo. So where were they going? Was there a secret Nazi submarine base in Antarctica? I don't know, but we're being pointed to Kubrick lights a secret submarine base. So in one of the things Kubrick says is we must supply our own light. So I find it interesting that we must supply our own light, and Kubrick is supplying the light for the secret submarine base. So you know this is like a red flag for us that we need to look at this Bond movie. And we already know the Bond movie is alchemical because it has Ringo's wife in it. But so this is a moonlighting job he does, shoveling out driveways. What else do we have here? I think we're almost done. Oh, this is interesting. The Titanic disaster is completely known. They know that the Olympic really sank and not the Titanic. And one of the ways they know is they can actually zoom in on the serial number on the propeller. And it turns out that the Olympic had damaged its propeller right before, or after it had its accident. They had to replace the propeller as well. So they took the new propeller off the Titanic and they put it on the Olympic. So now when they go down to the bottom of the ocean and they look at the serial number on the propeller, it matches the Titanic's propeller because it was swapped out. So there are actually records of the fact that they had swapped this propeller out. So, this is one of those things that this is never addressed. No one has ever sued. There's never a lawsuit for, killing 1,500 people. And yet it's provably, we know this is not the Titanic. It's the Olympic. And there's even pictures of, they have photographs of the tools. Here's some tools. And the tools have the correct stampings on them for the Olympic, not the Titanic. So, I mean, it extends beyond the propeller. It's everywhere they look on the fucking ship. It's the Olympic. And, and yet it never is corrected. We have James Cameron produces a movie on it. He never mentions that, oh, they swapped the ships, even though it's 100 years later. So this tells you something right away, that the people that were running the world when this event happened, April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day, the day the Donners depart, the day Lincoln dies, they're the same people that are running the country now. It's the same oligarchy. It's just they move the chairs around on the Titanic, but it's always the same people running the show. So this is clever. The ship itself had a massive coal fire in it before it left harbor. And they decided to just let the coal fire rage. So when the thing starts sinking, this raging coal fire weakens the vessel at one point. It makes a weak spot. So when the vessel's sinking, it actually cracks in half at the point the coal fire was raging. So the surviving passengers come back and they tell everybody, oh yeah, the ship it broke right in half and it sank. And the media changes that. And they change it because they don't want people to know that it broke in half, because it might, they might wonder, well, gee, I wonder why it broke in half. And then they would find out that, oh, wait a second, it broke in half because it was really the Olympic. It already had a damaged keel. So that's why it would break in half to begin with. And it would break right in half right where the coal fire was going. So in reality, the ship really did break in half, and it broke right where the coal fire was going. So the media takes this out of the reporting. So once again, you have the media is totally controlled in 1912. They already have total control of the media. They can edit out the fact the ship breaks in half because they don't want anybody to figure out this was really the Olympic. So some movies, they show you the thing sinking without breaking in half. Sometimes they show you it breaking in half. And there's a new category of monkeys, by the way. You can have a barrel on your rifle. You can have a barrel of monkeys. So we have the Bush baby, and I'm not going to go into it in this video because they don't have it totally done yet. But there's a group of monkeys, and I think this is like an evolutionary breadcrumb, And of course, the Bush baby itself is a clue to George Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George Walker Bush Jr. Here's a whiskey clue in the thing. There's the AMC eagle, another eagle. This is Back to the Future. We have the wood-grained eagle, and I believe that was the first U.S. full-time all-wheel drive passenger wagon ever made. They made trucks, and Subaru made four-wheel drive vehicles, but the first U.S. made full-time four-wheel drive passenger wagon was the AMC Eagle. And of course, they include the wood grain sides. Here he is. He pours this whiskey in the computer in a few seconds. He's playing chess with the computer. This is interesting. Another thing I noticed in here. When MacReady goes to visit Wilford Brimley in the thing, in his little shed out here, he gives him a bottle of Everclear, little fifth of Everclear. Everclear is moonshine. It's grain alcohol, and I believe it's It's like 200 proof. Um, I've been on camping trips and blown flame with Everclear. So that, I mean, it's like gasoline, and you can just you take a shot of that stuff, swill it around your mouth, spit it out. It feels like you brush your teeth. I mean, it will kill anything in your mouth. Let me close this. I think that's it. That's the end of it, guys. And have a great day. Oh, I got one more here. Here we have Buzz Aldrin descending the ladder. Okay, now let's hold on one second.
Little more. Not another inch. There, you got it? That's a good step. Yep. About a 3-footer. That's a good step. Yep. About a 3-footer.
So this is our about a 3-footer. You have the Apollo simulation project, and you have the 3-foot pile of shit that the whole thing really is, and the 3-foot jump off the snakes and ladders. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. And thanks again for all the people. I have to thank all the people that have subscribed in the last, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks. It really has gone nuclear. I mean, which is funny because I only have 170 subscribers, but the last like 30 or 40 have been added remarkably quick compared to the first, say, 100. So it's kind of nice to see that people are catching on and that they're enjoying it. And that's it, guys. Have a great day.